Gotta go fast, like Sonic the Hedgehog, so let's get right into it. You know the drill, I'm on a mission to rank every movie ever created. Today, it's Sonic 2's turn. So I'm gonna recap the movie, and as I go, the ranking algorithm will appear on screen, gaining or losing points whenever the movie does something good or bad. By the end, we will have a precise score so the movie can be officially submitted to the ranking, patent pending. On to Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It's been 243 days since Sonic stranded Robotnik on the Mushroom Planet. But the Eggman has not been sitting idly by. He's invented things like mushroom coffee and a beacon that will send a blast of chaos energy from Sonic's quill. The plan? Use whoever comes to investigate as a means for escape. That turns out to be a certain echidna named Knuckles, and the two quickly find something in common. They both want to find a certain blue hedgehog, who is right now in the process of destroying a city block trying to play hero, which earns him a lecture from Tom about what it means to be a hero. Not taking care of yourself, but taking responsibility for other people. Sonic isn't having it. You're supposed to be my friend, not my dad. Lucky for Sonic, he's soon to be without adult supervision, because Tom and Maddie are heading to Hawaii for her sister Rachel's wedding. Her sister who hates Tom, by the way, and he better not screw up this wedding. Great to see Sonic 2 is bringing back the human characters in full force, along with their sitcom-inspired antics. A shame, because I have a feeling if not for these generic screen time wasters, this score could be a bit higher. At least there are more jokes of the flatulent variety.
Oh no. I'm so embarrassed. Get out of here.
I don't know why the filmmakers or studio felt compelled to put such a focus on humans in these movies. Just look at Sonic Boom. No, not the games, don't look at those. Look at the show. Sonic works best in his Sonic world surrounded by Sonic things. At the same time, that show ended after 2 seasons, and the movies have a third on the way, plus that spin-off series. So I guess people want this?
Oh, and if you screw up my wedding, I will end you.
Sometimes I really don't understand people. Sometimes it feels like this ranking algorithm talks my language more than humans. Maybe I'm starting to see what Robotnik is talking about.
Human beings are unreliable and stupid, and I care very little about them. But my machines are diligent, relentless.
But a lot of the start of this movie is fun. The first few minutes are spent in a fantasy world, the Mushroom Planet. Jim Carrey as Robotnik, who is so cartoonish he doesn't count as one of the humans in this movie. He gets to cut loose. His unhinged slapstick humor combined with a Ruth Goldberg machine on a world of giant mushrooms is a lot of fun. Sonic playing the hero is also a good time. You actually get to see Sonic in action, which you get shockingly little of in the first movie. It's a bit generic, especially with the played-out joke of civilians gawking at the action like, "Oh my God, did I just see what I think I saw?" At the same time, cut the movie a break. Even Christopher Nolan isn't above that. People want to forget, but remember this scene from The Dark Knight? Back home, Sonic is alone, which means time for some risky business-style hijinks. I know, I was just as shocked as you were when Sonic called in that escort. But hey, it wouldn't be the first time this franchise dabbled in interspecies relationships. Until Robotnik shows up. The human is no match for the hedgehog, but he isn't alone. He is joined by that red echidna here to serve some knuckle sandwiches, while ranting about restoring ultimate power to his tribe and the many echidna who died fighting Longclaw and her people. Sonic is in trouble. He's never faced someone as powerful as Knuckles. He's only saved thanks to Tails, who drives a car through the echidna and escapes with Sonic. The fox offers some answers. Knuckles is here looking for the Master Emerald and believes Sonic is the key to finding it. While they yap, Knuckles is right on their tail. Luckily, Tails has 2 of those and uses them to helicopter him and Sonic to safety. Wade's house, where Sonic remembers Longclaw's map had an emerald on it, and it turns out to also contain a holographic message from his old mentor. She chose Earth as his haven for a very specific reason. That's where the Master Emerald is hidden, a powerful artifact with the power to make thoughts reality. Sonic must keep it safe. points for this movie having a semblance of actual stakes. Unlike the first movie where it was all about Sonic trying to get his sack back, this one is about something more. Robotnik wants that emerald, and with it, he could take over the world. Yeah, it's generic, but I'll take that over the nothing offered in Sonic 1, and where in the first movie it felt like he should have been able to resolve things in 2 seconds, this one offers some challenge. Knuckles is stronger and cooler, and he's voiced by Idris Elba. This echidna is a great addition to the movie. It makes me wish I could stick the first movie into a Sonic and Knuckles cart with lock-on technology to retroactively add Knuckles to the cast of the first movie. Kids, if you don't know about lock-on technology, look it up, and that will settle the debate. Yes, video games were way cooler back then. Now there are a couple of issues here. A little convenient that this hologram appears now. It seems to happen in response to Sonic running his fingers over the picture of the emerald. You're telling me his hand never just happened to graze that part of the map before? He's had this thing for 10 years as the only memento of his old life, and he hasn't examined it thoroughly enough to really question that emerald and just accidentally unlock that hologram? Also, we need to send a memo out to Hollywood that references are not in and of themselves jokes.
The emerald has the power to turn thoughts into reality.
Like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters.
What a hypocrite. What about your risky business reference earlier? I'm glad you brought that up. See, that reference had a punchline. The idea of Sonic inviting over a lady of the night. It's not what you'd expect a cartoon character to do, so it's humorous. But the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man thing doesn't create any contrast, because it's actually the kind of thing that fits right into this movie. So the joke is just, hey, this reminds me of another thing. And remembering stuff isn't funny. It's usually just sad. All the regrets, embarrassments, failures. Now look what Sonic did. It momentarily distracted me from the distraction of my obsession with movies and made me think about my life. Oh, I know you're going to say that's unfair because it's a personal problem, but the algorithm is unflinchingly objective. Those points weren't for me. They were for the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man thing. The map points to a clue in Siberia, so Sonic tosses a ring, and there they go, to a very cold place. So cold they have to find shelter fast, and they do. A bar with mean people like in the first movie. But before the inevitable trouble begins, Tails reveals his origins. He's an inventor with a lot of gadgets. In fact, that's how he found Sonic. His energy blast from the first movie that knocked out the power reached Tails all the way on his planet. He's been watching the Hedgehog ever since. He saw him defeat the Eggman and now looks up to Sonic as a hero. Once he found out Knuckles was on his trail, he had to come warn him. Then the trouble begins. Tails' translator gadget spits out a few wrong words. One scatological joke and another of the flatulent variety later, and it's revealed to the barflies that these visitors are not human, but instead CGI monstrosities. So what else can you do but throw them in the fire?
Fire! And lots of it.
They're carried toward the fireplace while Tails desperately searches Siberian customs and finds a word to solve all their problems. Pivanka. Uttering that phrase changes the minds of this angry mob, because to them, that word apparently means it's time for a dance-off. Look, I know I'm the interpreter. The algorithm tells us the score, and I am the vessel by which it tells you why that score. But sometimes it's not really necessary, is it? They're having a dance-off. The guy has their map and Sonic needs it back. The thing is, it's like the first movie again. I don't know why they keep doing this. For Sonic, the stakes can never be, there's a thing I need over there, and I need to go get it. That can't be the stakes because he has super speed. Do the slow-mo thing where fun music plays while you casually stroll through the chaos, and then just take the map back. He and Tails almost died because Sonic keeps forgetting he has super speed. By the way, the movie keeps cutting to Hawaii, where hilarity is just ensuing all over the place. Tom meets Rachel's husband, and he's a very strong man. All his friends are very strong men too, so Tom is intimidated. And they play volleyball, and they're better than him, and they keep acting like Tom is this schlubby guy compared to them. But the thing is, James Marsden looks like a Hollywood actor. Because he is one, it doesn't have the contrast needed for this joke to joke. It's just weird. Also, he better not screw up this wedding or Rachel will be pissed, okay? But returning to Siberia, where we left off on a cliffhanger, Sonic and Tails are about to have to dance their tails off. Only problem is, they're not very good at dancing the dance that these Siberians dance. Freaks, the crowd chants, and that gives Sonic an idea. Get freaky. Needless to say, they win that dance off. Then they spend the night, and in the morning, once the storm clears, Tails' gadget is able to get a clear signal and find the coordinates to the temple where they need to go. Wait a minute. So Tails has a gadget which points to the place they need to go. Why were they wandering in the cold? Why did they need shelter? Well, because the storm disrupted the signal, so they had to wait for it to clear. Okay, so teleport back home where it's nice and warm. Wait for the storm to clear up, and then teleport back. Oh, but they're in a rush because they need to find the emerald before the bad guys. Sure, but they had a dance-off and they slept. They weren't rushing because apparently they couldn't until the storm cleared. As soon as they opened that ring, Tails should have said, "Oh, there's a storm, never mind, let's wait for it to pass." Just like Sonic almost got them killed earlier because he forgot he had super speed, he also almost gets them killed freezing to death because he forgets that he has magic teleporty rings. We need shelter. Okay, teleport home, then teleport back in the morning. Is the idea that he has a limited number of rings? Well, that'd be weird because he's using them very willy-nilly. He uses one to send Tom and Maddie to Hawaii for the wedding. He even gives them an extra for the return trip. He uses it during the risky business sequence to steal snacks. Or is the joke that he does have a limited number, so they're extraordinarily valuable, but he keeps wasting them on frivolous things? If that's the case, you know Tom would have had a line like, "Sonic, are you sure you should be using up those things? Don't be a square, Tom. I've got plenty, dude." Otherwise, this would be the only subtle joke in the franchise. The movie gained some points for its stakes earlier, but here it's got to lose a few. Movies have a momentum where there's danger approaching or a task to be completed, but if the characters don't take it seriously, it's hard for us to. If there's an obvious solution, but instead they're busy Pivanka-ing, you can't take anything seriously. You're not supposed to take it seriously. It's a fun movie. Hey, we already talked about this in the Sonic 1 episode. The algorithm accounts for that. Why do you think the score isn't 0 right now? Because the movie is fun about 50% of the time. At the temple, they find a story etched in stone about a fearsome group of echidnas who forged the 7 Chaos Emeralds into the Master Emerald, which a single warrior could use to defeat entire armies. Believing no one should have such power, the owls recovered it and swore to protect it from evil. Inside the temple, they find a compass which will point the way to the emerald. Easy, right? Well, it would be if Robotnik hadn't tracked Sonic's phone. The villain arrives with Knuckles at his side. In the midst of their battle, Sonic learns that he and Knuckles have something in common. The day the echidnas came for Longclaw, the last owl warrior, Knuckles lost his father in the battle. It seems he and Sonic both lost everything that day. And today, Sonic loses again, because when Tails is hurt and he has to choose, go after the compass or save his new friend, of course he chooses to save Tails. Something Knuckles takes notice of. Perhaps this Sonic the Hedgehog has some honor. Knuckles and Robotnik make off with the compass, while Sonic tries to save Tails from an incoming avalanche. With it gaining on them, he has no choice but to call for help. Tom's phone rings in the middle of Rachel's ceremony. Sonic had given him a ring for quick teleportation back from Hawaii, but now he needs Tom to use it to bring him and Tails to safety. The Hedgehog and Fox crash through the portal and right into Rachel's wedding. Good action scene with Sonic on a makeshift snowboard. It feels very Sonic. There are also hints at interesting character dynamics with Knuckles and Robotnik's tenuous alliance, and the echidna starting to wonder if maybe there's more to the Hedgehog. But there's a lot of telling rather than showing. Imagine if we got to see more of Knuckles' past, if we actually spent time with him to see his side of the conflict and see Longclaw as an enemy, we might actually feel empathy for his plight as much as Sonic's. Same with Tails. After the dance-off, he tells Sonic how he grew up without friends. Everyone thought he was weird for his 2 tails, but Sonic inspired him since he's weird too, as the fastest creature in the galaxy. It's hard to feel for Tails because we never saw him move from sad to happy. By the time we met him, he was already inspired by Sonic and minutes away from meeting him. When Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 came out, a lot of people said it was cheating by using cute animals to tug at our heartstrings. I always felt that was a little unfair, because sure, that makes it a little easier, but it still requires good writing and performances to pull off. This movie is a great counterexample because, look, cute animals, but still, I feel nothing. Also, I hate to break it to you, Tails, but you have really stretched the definition of the word weird. Two tails? Kinda weird. Being really fast? Nobody thinks that's weird. When I was in high school, I don't remember people watching Michael Phelps and going, "What a weirdo." And I tried telling people, "Look how weird he is. He's the fastest man in the pool, and you like him, and you called me weird, so by the transitive property, you all like me now, right?" I do have to say, I almost respect the movie for not bothering at all to explain where Tails comes from. It avoids the Marvel problem of every movie inventing yet another ancient culture or planet you've never heard of that's always been around. You almost have to respect them for just saying, he's an alien fox. Like from a planet of foxes? Or like where? Shut up! Also, the references in place of jokes continue.
Sounds like the owls and echidnas have been fighting each other for centuries.
Like Vin Diesel and The Rock.
But it's already baked into the score. That wedding, by the way, it was all fake. It was an FBI sting operation. It turns out her husband is an FBI agent. The priest is an FBI agent. This whole thing was an elaborate catfish operation to lure the alien hedgehog, and it was a success. Sonic, Tails, and Tom are all taken into custody. But the FBI has no idea what they're up against. A bride scorned. Rachel teams up with Maddie, and with help from some gadgets Tails left behind, they free their friends. And it turns out that while Rachel's husband was an undercover agent, he broke the #1 rule and fell in love. Happy ending. Hey, I'm feeling something. Pain. That was really painful to watch. I want to go back to feeling nothing again. So the FBI is looking for Sonic. If they thought catfishing Tom's sister-in-law would get them closer to the hedgehog, they must suspect Tom is still associating with him. So instead of just going to his house and just taking the hedgehog, they thought it'd be better to trick Rachel into marrying this guy. And what, Sonic would be at the wedding? Why would they think Sonic would be at the wedding? And they were wrong. He wasn't there. Eventually he was, but only because Robotnik chased him there. But the FBI didn't even know Robotnik was still alive. What were they hoping would happen? The human plot is at the best of times boring, and at the worst of times, it'll make you roll your eyes so hard they'll fall out of your sockets, and you'll be happy because you won't have to watch this movie anymore. There's also another Olive Garden joke. You can't see, but I'm making sarcastic quote signs with my fingers when I say the word joke.
Should have taken me up on that brunch, Mr. and Mrs. Wachowski. Olive Garden guy?
And another one.
And cancel my 5 o'clock at the Olive Garden.
Olive Garden. It's Olive Garden. It's hilarious. Bravo, Sonic. You've done it again. Algorithm, add 1,000,000 points for the Olive Garden callbacks. Algorithm? Ah, come on. Fine, moving on. Next, the movie does a side mission where instead of Sonic, you play as Maddie and Rachel. 2 characters the movie has done nothing to make you care about, and for one of them, the movies have actively worked to make you hate her. And then we're supposed to care or even celebrate when it turns out the FBI agent loved her after all. Just like the first movie, it's a payoff looking for a setup. But no one is looking for that setup because this is a Sonic movie, not a romantic comedy about an FBI catfish operation that leads to unlikely love in Hawaii. What were they thinking? And that was another reference, by the way, but see, it was subtle. You'd only pick up on it if you knew the reference. Otherwise, it just naturally fit the scenario. If this were the Sonic movie, I would have said, as the angry video game nerd would say, what were they thinking? The wedding is saved. Sonic, Tails, and Tom are freed, but not all is well. The Eggman and Echidna have found the Master Emerald. Now there is only one fast enough to stop them. Sonic the Hedgehog. He gets to the temple in time for a brawl with Knuckles, but while the two aliens have at it, Robotnik has at the emerald. He takes the emerald, revealing his friendship with Knuckles was a ruse, all to get this power for himself. He escapes, knocking down the temple, trapping Knuckles underwater. It's like Tom said, being a hero means taking responsibility for others. Sonic does exactly that and saves the echidna. He nearly drowns himself until Knuckles returns the favor. The enemies become friends and go after Robotnik together. That was something. The movie is trying something. Friends become enemies, enemies become friends. It's character development, even if just a small amount. It would have been more impactful if we'd gotten to know Knuckles better, enough to empathize with his cause more, but it's something. And visually, this is the stuff a Sonic movie needs. Robotnik and Knuckles traversing an ancient, trap-ridden, fantastical temple, Sonic having to run on water to get to the temple in time, a hedgehog fighting an echidna, good stuff. Sonic and Knuckles are now a team, but kicking Robotnik's Robotnik won't be easy. The Mad Doctor is now all-powerful, and he uses that power to conjure a giant Eggman machine. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, even with their powers combined, struggle against the mechanical foe, until Sonic realizes Robotnik's weakness. Sonic, Robotnik's obsession with revenge against the Hedgehog. So Sonic acts as a distraction, and when he's knocked down, Tails takes over to distract him again, while Knuckles punches the emerald out of him. It breaks. Hope is lost as Robotnik moves to crush Sonic and his adoptive parents under his metal foot, until 7 emeralds recombine into one, turning Sonic into Super Sonic. He defeats the bad guy, the day is saved, and the 3 creatures agree to team up to always protect the Master Emerald, keep it out of evil's hands. Evil that still walks, because hiding among the cleanup crew is Robotnik's assistant, who I haven't really mentioned because he's just there as a feeble excuse for comic relief, but I assume he'll have a hand in bringing the Doctor back for Sonic 3. But also, while wiping Robotnik off their database, the FBI finds a file buried deep in their system dating back over 50 years, coordinates to a secret research facility containing Project Shadow. Alright, Supersonic was from the games, and that's cool, but not cooler than what's already baked into the score, so no change. Same with Giant Robotnik, a visually fun way to borrow from Eggman's look in the games and to raise the stakes for their final showdown, but you have to offset it with more dancing and references.
I knew it. Just like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
At this point, the big ups and downs are already baked in. Any further movement, like, look, pixel art again, would be no bigger than a rounding error, even at 3 decimal places. So that's the final score. Sonic 2, worse than Sonic 1, only slightly. This one takes the edge in action and visuals thanks to the addition of Tails, Knuckles, and the Emerald, but it's offset by doubling down on the human characters, giving them their own wedding subplot. It seems they can't help themselves with these damn humans, so the franchise's only hope is adding more animal characters to dilute the human subplots. Hopefully adding Keanu's shadow will do the trick. Also, Tom and Maddie were watching the movie Speed in the first Sonic, while Sonic watched over their shoulder, and that movie has Keanu Reeves in it, and he's going to play Shadow. Reference!